All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Bakcou Builds. Today we're going to build the X24, so let's get to it. First on the bike, you want to remove the straps, cut them, get a pair of dikes. Then I'd like to take a razor blade and cut the sides of the box. As you remove the box away from the metal frame, you'll use a 5/16 socket to remove the self-tap screws. You can slowly start removing the frame. As you remove the frame, you'll want to keep the bike tied to the bottom to hold it steady for you for a while. So now at this point you can start removing some of the plastic that's wrapped the bike to protect it. I recommend leave the seat plastic on, but you'll see the charger box on the top. So you'll notice that was taped to the top is a new decal for the front. Then you got the mirrors in here. You've got the foot peg that we'll install late in a minute. Your charger. You've got your toolkit that helps put the bike together. All right, so in the toolkit, you got a 22 millimeter that's gonna help put the front axle together. Socket 2, which is a 19 millimeter Allen to front axle. A screwdriver, Phillips, and a flathead reversible. Some sockets, pliers, and an Allen wrench that will help get the bike all set up. So we'll set these aside, we'll get going. Okay, and then now we'll remove the handlebar plate with the 10 millimeters. Remove the plate, set the plate to the side, set the handlebars in, then tighten them back down. Remember, you'll find all the torque settings in the owner manual online or with the bike. After you get the handlebars mounted in, you can tighten them a little bit, but you'll want to make sure, adjust everything so it feels real natural to you. Now we'll put on the left hand control. Make sure you follow with a Phillips screwdriver to remove it. Make sure you follow the set pin that's going to go in on the lower side of the handlebar. Once you get that in, replace the Phillips screws, snug them down. So after you get the left hand light controller on, you'll install the clutch lever. Use the plastic shim on the handlebar between the clamp and then bolt the clutch lever on. There's some zip ties on the handlebars that you can remove and then tighten. And then you can hold the cable snug to the handlebars. Tighten it, but at the end, before you ride, you'll want to adjust your handle grip and your clutch so they're in a comfortable riding position, kind of on a 45-degree angle. For packaging, we had to remove this left foot peg, so we're going to install it. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to get that spring lined up. The key is to kind of leave it just how it was packaged, and you can kind of bend this cotter pin back. We're going to pull the cotter pin out, and it's going to go in just like this. So pull the set pin, install it just the way that it came apart. So I want to make sure that this hook is on the outside on the peg. Then replace the cotter pin and bend the prongs back. So when you pull the front fender out, you're going to notice another little fender piece, which we'll install later. It's this piece right here, but it goes on the opposite side, and we'll just set that to the side. So now let's install the front fender by removing the 4 bolts, the 10 millimeter heads up underneath. Install the front fender by installing the 10 millimeter bolts. So to remove the front axle, you'll loosen the 4 set 10 millimeter bolts that are in the front. Loosen them just gently, and we'll use our tools to remove the front axle with the 22 millimeter and the 19 millimeter hex. Remember, there's 2 metal shims on here. The short one will go on the brake side, the caliper side. As you tap that out, at this point you might need a second hand to help steady the bike. Remove the remainder of the cable ties that's holding it to the frame, and have the second hands kind of release the weight from the bike that's leaning on the axle to be able to remove it. Now we can remove the brake wedge that's set in the brake calipers. Either you can use a floor jack, a car jack to lift the bike up to get the pressure off to balance it, some big blocks to get the wheel, just so you can get the front wheel in. Now as we install the front wheel, remember the smaller of the two metal shims will go on the rotor side, the brake side, as you get the axle back in. Snug the axle up, make sure the rotor is in between the brake pads properly. Tighten the set screws, the 10 millimeters, to just tighten up the axle, get it set. And then you can actually at this point get it off the bike stand. Then you'll install the little plastic fender that was with the front fender on the rear right side of the bike by removing the two 10 millimeter bolts and installing the fender. One thing to it come with is this brake guard, the rotor kind of guard thing. There you can see there's already some screws already set in here that we just removed to be able to mount it on here. And then install the rotor cover. You'll see here, this is where you plug the main battery power in. With lithium batteries, there's no need to put a full charge on it before you ride, but feel free to charge it up. You're gonna leave your bike sitting for a while, even 2 or 3 days. It's always good to unplug the main power because the battery will go into a sleep mode. And if you ever get to where the bike won't power on because it's sat for a little bit, just remove the main power plug for 10 to 20 seconds and then reinstall the main power, and that'll wake up the battery, or plug it into a charger and it'll wake the battery back up. Go through the controls. So on the handlebars, you'll notice you get your headlight, low, brights, off, horn, blinkers, hazards. On this hand, you got the kill switch, sport mode, drive mode, park, reverse. Reverse, you want to hold it. All right, well, thanks again. It's another Bakcou build, the X24. Make sure you get out there and enjoy the ride, and be safe.